2020. Employees at all the biggies like Apple and Alphabet, remember, they donated millions to Democrat campaigns. And of course, as we saw at Twitter, they helped in non-monetary ways as well. But now they may be wondering what they got for all that money, because the real bill is coming due in the form of lower corporate earnings. Now, this is obviously directly due to the economic downturn that Biden's policies triggered. And now, Biden's friends in big media are getting walloped as well. Now, CNN, boo-hoo, has already axed a bunch of really talented folks. And this week, it was the Washington Post. The Bezos-owned paper boasts the motto, "Democracy dies in the darkness." Don't you love that? But they might consider changing it to "Newspapers die in the Biden era." When Post publisher Fred Ryan met with his staff this week to announce that more layoffs were coming in the new year, things got very uncomfortable very quickly, with employees demanding answers about the future. Now, wait for the end of the video we're going to play. They should name this, well, maybe the fire and run move.
Brad, you talked about positions getting eliminated. What are you going to do to protect people's jobs? Are they going to be treated like the magazine staffers were? Are you going to try and
have more information as we move forward. Thank you very much.
You seem to be disrespecting this room. You are disrespecting this room.
Well, a third of you are going to be fired. Bye. Happy New Year. Now, it's even uglier over at the home of our favorite globalist fat cats on Wall Street. Just today, Goldman Sachs announced massive payroll cuts as well, up to 4,000 people. Reuters is reporting that these layoffs are a sign that cuts are accelerating across Wall Street as deal-making is drying up and investment banking revenues have plummeted. Now, let us never forget now, it's Wall Street's money that put Joe Biden in office. It's media companies on the East and West Coasts that to this day protect Biden and his administration from scrutiny. All through this year, they actively helped the Biden team lie to the voters about the true state of our economy and what all Biden's spending and attacks on oil and gas would do to inflation. So these false prophets promised. They promised that inflation would be mild, even when the smartest Democrat economists warned otherwise. They promised that job markets were strong, even as real wages were falling. They promised that the economy was doing great, even as Americans were losing trillions in wealth. And they promised that Ukraine was winning, definitely winning, even though Zelensky is demanding tens of billions of dollars, millions of dollars, plus Patriot missiles. They promised crime would subside with community policing. And of course, it's worse than ever. And yeah, they said the border was under control. And as we all know, it is a disaster. So what did all Biden's fans think would happen? For decades, cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, they've been symbols of excellence. There were some of the smartest and most innovative American minds live and work. But now these urban areas are symbols of American decline. So how much longer will people tolerate these results? A lot of big tech and big media live in those cities. And will Biden's business and media allies continue with their charade until they're all broke? So as the elites start to suffer as they get a taste of their own medicine, they wish to transfer that pain to you. The Greeniacs are coming for the staples of American life, busily plotting away to take, basic conveniences away from the rest of the country. It began with food. During the 2020 presidential campaign, the effort to ban red meat became popular. Kamala Harris even voiced her support for the push. And the alternatives, well, truly horrifying.
It turns out that cows aren't necessarily the most efficient way of making beef. You can print any structure that you're able to design. So you upload a file to the printer and you can present a steak of pretty much any size and also any proportions.
But it turns out people hate this. Fake meat sales are now plunging because of high prices and being too woke for consumers. They also taste terrible. But they see another battlefront to expose: your car. The left wants to move America from this.
Here's a couple of things America got right: cars and freedom.
Pride, good friends, and simple, honest value. These are the things we know we can depend on.
And and move us on to this.
There we are.
That's it.
And there's no sound or fume.
There is nothing.
So how do I know it's actually working?
Yes.
If you think electric buses are cool, there's electric trucks, there's electric cars, everything is going electric.
It's so embarrassing. And they see this, by the way, as a battle that they can win. And a remarkable op-ed in the New York Times from yesterday explains how. Now, the thesis is quite simple. Cars are bad because their existence promotes racist tendencies. Yeah. And they lean too heavy into that whole freedom thing. No, seriously, this is how it begins. In American consumer lore, the automobile has always been a freedom machine, and liberty lies on the open road. During the Cold War, vehicles rolled off the assembly line with Native American names like Pontiac, Apache, Dakota, Cherokee, Thunderbird, and Winnebago. The ultimate expressions of capitalist triumph and manifest destiny. But for many low-income and minority Americans, automobiles have been turbo-boosted engines of inequality. God, the left really hates cars. Bike lanes are everywhere. There's no parking in any city. High gas prices. No ownership, just rent for an hour or two. No freedom of movement. This is the globalist goal. In the end, it's all about making you live with less, getting used to living with less. A new global order modeled around austerity. Now, they're going to tell you it's better for you and your life and your mental health. Remember how clean the air was during the pandemic when everyone was stuck at home? Living less is good for the soul, they'll say. But the truth of the matter is, innovation has made the world better and healthier. Any turn away from that is a turn away from advancement. And that's the angle. Here now, Victor Davis Hanson, Senior Fellow at the Hoover Institution. All right, Victor, why do you think cars represent kind of the ultimate target for the modern left? What do they represent in American life?
Well, it represents a safe space the government can't intrude into, so they can't get you, yank you out of your car or put you on a track or pack you into a bus or a train or an airplane. So for one moment in a person's life, they can determine where they want to go, how they want to go, under what conditions they can speak freely, they can listen to whatever music, they're not regimented. Same thing with their home. They don't like people to have individual detached homes. They want everybody in high rises transported to and fro by mass transit. And this is a utopian agenda that they've cooked up. And again, they're never subject to the consequences of their own ideology. When Oprah or Al Gore gets off of their private jets, they're going to be an SUV, a big, beautiful black limousine that's a gas guzzler. Same thing with Joe Biden. But it's an effort to regiment us and to control us and to make us fit these agendas that they plan for us that are detached from reality.
Cars also represent freedom in America, right, Victor? Because
yes,
you can hop in your car and you're like, let's head to Florida tonight. And you don't have to stop for 8 hours or 4 hours to charge your vehicle. You could just go. It's almost like, you know, whoever they is, they don't like that idea of just being able to go whenever you want.
No. They want to know why you're going somewhere and when you're going somewhere and what you're going for, because they want to determine whether it's necessary for the body politic and the collective. And they want to determine whether that trip is necessary under their definitions. It's very ironic because it's really directed at the middle class, and that's part of this Stephen Chu-like rise in gas prices that they're oblivious to. They like the idea that fuel's really, expensive, because then the middle class that's supposedly ignorant won't be able to practice their ignorance at their expense. So they don't. Ultimately, it's an elite that detests the middle consumer class.
And Victor, the other thing that you hear about repeatedly in legislation and op-eds is the racism angle. I mean, people like watching, like, what are you talking about? How can cars be racist? But they say that cars do kind of evoke this American sense of institutional racism, and that it's not clear that it's advancing the notion of diversity and equity and inclusion. And that's another reason traditional car ownership has to go by the wayside.
That's very ironic, because I live in a Hispanic community where cars are worshipped and as art forms, and everybody has as many as they can get as a form of pride and identity. And so the idea that they're going to outlaw them, but this fixation on race is another matter because it used to be class. The left loved Marxist class distinctions, and then they looked at America and everybody's upwardly mobile, and the poor can be middle class and middle class can be wealthy. But when you obsess on race, it's permanent. So LeBron will always be a victim. The Obamas will always be a victim by virtue of their superficial appearance. So that's why they obsess on race, because they throw out all economic criteria. So it doesn't matter what you make or how privileged you are, it's your skin color, and therefore you can be a permanent victim, and that requires power for the government to redistribute privileges and make some people victimizers and other victimized. So this obsession on race is very bizarre, but it's logical in their sense of wanting a permanent victimized class.
Victor, it's great to see you tonight. And if I don't see you, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Late last night, a number of Twitter accounts were temporarily suspended after they shared personal information regarding Elon Musk's whereabouts. The practice of doxing, as it is called, has always been banned on the platform, yet because these left-wing reporters were part of a protected class under the previous regime, they went into full meltdown mode when they were temporarily suspended. But there's a difference here beyond the fact that they were engaged in the forbidden conduct under Twitter's rules.